Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 139 based on novel. So let's start. Outside the valley, Wang Lin raised his right hand and a giant land mass flew into the sky. Wang Lin sat outside the valley with extremely cold eyes and spat out the 1 billion soul flag. As the 30-foot-long flag flapped in the air, ghostly howls came out from inside it. Although the 1 billion soul flag no longer had 1 billion souls, it was still the key treasure of the soul refining sect. Because everyone in the valley cultivated the soul refining spell, the moment they saw the 1 billion soul flag, they felt an urge to worship it. Wang Lin grabbed the flag, and with one wave, the primary souls flew out. The 6 remaining primary souls, including the Chilean, immediately appeared around the 5-kilometer-wide area. At the same time, Wang Lin spat out essence blood onto the soul flag. The flag immediately expanded and quickly wrapped around the entire 5-kilometer-wide land mass. Refine. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. The 6 primary souls' eyes suddenly released a ghostly light and they all spat out purple fire. Soon, the 5-kilometer-wide landmass was surrounded by purple flames. These flames were the essence of these 6 primary souls, making them very powerful. As the flames roared, sizzling and popping sounds came from the 5-kilometer-wide piece of land. There were cries of fear mixed in with the sounds of the flames, and after half an incense stick of time, only half of the land remained. This remaining land was completely red. However, with the green light's protection, the flames weren't able to completely refine everything inside. The violent flashes of green light resisted the invasion of the flames, and a stalemate was reached. Wang Lin took one look, stood up, and returned to the valley. Since you want to hide like a turtle, I'll just spend 7 days and 7 nights to refine the formation completely. Then everything will be under my control. The blood of the people of the valley was boiling from seeing the scene outside the valley, and all of them were talking about this. Their respect for Wang Lin reached the limit, and even the children of the village thought of Wang Lin as a deity. After leaving the Formation B, Wang Lin ordered Ouyang Hua to send 13 to the depths of the valley. Ouyang Hua always followed Wang Lin's orders without question. After bringing 13 to Wang Lin, he respectfully left. 13's face now had a bit of color, but he was still unconscious. It was very easy to save 13, but even if he did, 13 would still be wasted. In this place, a wasted person couldn't survive. 13's body had all of its meridians shattered, so he couldn't absorb any of the demonic spiritual energy here, making him unsuitable to cultivate any of the methods Wang Lin knew. 13 wouldn't be able to cultivate unless the meridians in his body could regrow. However, Wang Lin wasn't able to do this. Only those heaven-defying pills could achieve such a result. After pondering for a while, his eyes lit up. There was one thing that 13 could cultivate among all of the methods Wang Lin knew. However, this matter was very important and Wang Lin began to show a bit of hesitation, something that he rarely ever showed. A cultivator's body is like the sea, and their meridians are like thousands of rivers. The body itself is its own world. One starts from within the body to experience life, and he uses this body to seek Tao. An ancient god's skin and flesh are the sky and his bones are the earth. His soul devours the spiritual energy of the heavens and earth to refine the body. He uses the strength of his body to break all Tao hearts and uses his soul to draw his own Tao in the heavens. Wang Lin pondered. If he taught 13 the ancient god's cultivation method, it should be able to completely change 13 from a waste to a powerful person. However, this wasn't guaranteed, as 13's body wasn't as good as Wang Lin's original body, so he might not be able to successfully cultivate it. If he fails to cultivate the method of the ancient gods, he will die because his body will collapse from the crazy amount of demonic spiritual energy that will enter it. Also, an ancient god devours spiritual energy and celestial spiritual energy. Wang Lin wasn't sure if it could devour this demonic spiritual energy. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin shook his head and no longer thought about this. The celestial spiritual energy in his body disappeared and the demon crystal released demonic spiritual energy. At this moment, he returned to the state where he gave off a demonic aura. He moved his finger like lightning and pressed it against 13's forehead. Demonic spiritual energy entered 13's body and turned into specks of golden light. Wang Lin raised his right hand and closed his eyes to cultivate. Half an incense stick of time later, 13 slowly opened his eyes. He looked at the sky above the valley and remained silent. After a long time, he got up and knelt before Wang Lin with an expression of pain. This pain wasn't from his body but from his heart. At the moment he woke up, he immediately understood that there was not a trace of demonic spiritual energy inside his body. The current him was even weaker than before he started to cultivate. Wang Lin still hadn't opened his eyes. 13 knelt for a long time before kowtowing 3 times. Then he left without even turning his head once. It wasn't until he left that Wang Lin opened his eyes and let out a sigh. Among all these people, 13 had the best talent and he had great comprehension regarding the soul flag. If it wasn't for this, he would have definitely achieved greatness in the future. 13 returned to his own house. He was one of the few people in the valley without a wife and children, so he was the only person who lived in this house. There wasn't any aura of a young man on him, only the aura of an old man entering the final days of his life. After a long time, he sat in the lotus position and tried to cultivate the soul refining spell. However, every time he tried, waves of pain came from his body. This kind of pain was not something a normal person could withstand. However, he withstood it. When he failed, he tried again and continued to withstand the unimaginable pain. After trying to cultivate a few times, his body was soaked in sweat. The veins on his body were all bulging from the pain, and a hint of despair appeared in 13's eyes. "I'm not willing to give up." He took a deep breath and continued to cultivate while enduring the pain. This time, just as he absorbed demonic spiritual energy, he felt as if his body was hit by a giant mountain, causing him to cough out blood and pass out. The 5-kilometer-wide land outside the valley was still being refined by the flames, and the green light protecting the land was slowly dimming. Inside the 5-kilometer-wide area, everyone was filled with despair as the shadow of death loomed over them. They watched the flame outside grow larger and larger, burning out all the hope in their hearts. The grey-robed old man closed his eyes in despair. When he opened them, they were glowing. He suddenly turned around to look at the white-robed old man, who was also terrified, and said, "This is a disaster you brought upon yourself, and you dragged the entire tribe down with you." The white-robed old man's body trembled and he remained silent. "That foreigner is not someone we can fight against. If you continue to be stubborn, then when the formation breaks, it won't just be you and me, the entire tribe will be burned to death by the flames. As a member of the tribe, how can you sit and watch the entire tribe die before you?" The white-robed old man bitterly said, "You mean?" The grey-robed old man said, in a serious tone, "You made the mistake, so you must take responsibility for it. This is the only way for our tribe to survive. Don't worry, if you die, I'll definitely think of a way to get revenge for you. In addition, once we are free, I'll immediately go to Ancient Demon City and report your matter to the general of the left wing. I believe the general of the left wing will be interested in this." The white-robed old man remained silent for a long time. He looked around with a complicated expression, and his gaze landed on the other tribe members. When he saw the fear on their faces, he took a deep breath and floated to the edge of the formation. "The challenge letter was sent by me. Come and fight me if you dare. After the battle, no matter whether I win or lose, don't drag the innocent in." The white-robed old man's voice went through the formation to the outside and directly into the valley. Wang Lin opened his eyes, and with a sway of his body, he disappeared. When he reappeared, he was outside the valley, and when he looked coldly at the 5-kilometer-wide area, he saw the white-robed old man. Wang Lin waved his right hand and the 6 primary souls stopped spewing flames and circled around him. Without the flames invading, the white-robed old man clenched his teeth and walked out. He raised his hand and 2 strands of demonic spiritual energy started moving between his fingers, and he said to Wang Lin, "Let's battle. You aren't qualified." Wang Lin's hand reached out, causing the white-robed man's expression to suddenly change. The 2 strands of demonic spiritual energy around his fingers were suddenly extinguished. At the same time, the old man's body flew helplessly toward Wang Lin. Almost an instant later, Wang Lin was holding the old man by the neck. When the white-robed man was about to struggle, Wang Lin's eyes became cold and he used a large amount of force. With a crack, the old man's eyes bulged and he died. Wang Lin's celestial spiritual energy surged into the old man's body to trap the soul. Then the old man's soul was sealed inside the 1 billion soul flag as one of the soul fragments. After doing all of this, he threw the old man's body behind him. One of the primary souls immediately spat out a flame that burned the body into dust. Wang Lin reached out with his hand and the 5-kilometer-wide land was moved by him to the area next to the valley, creating waves of dust. Open the formation. Wang Lin's gaze was cold as he looked at the 5-kilometer-wide area that had been refined to the verge of collapsing. The grey-robed old man's body trembled. He didn't think that Wang Lin would kill the white-robed old man so easily. This kind of cultivation was several times stronger than what he previously thought. He immediately threw away the idea of revenge and didn't dare to anger someone this powerful. At this moment, whether he opened the formation or not didn't matter. He let out a sigh and drew a symbol with his hand. With this symbol, the formation protecting the area disappeared. Ouyang Hua, add new tribe members. After leaving these words, Wang Lin disappeared into the depths of the valley. All of the people from the 5-kilometer-wide area were absorbed into the tribe inside the valley. Even the grey-robed old man accepted this and didn't raise any thoughts of resisting. Even more people began to study the soul refining spell, and the grey-robed old man was very interested in it. The tribe's size increased greatly. Adding on the people that were just captured, the number of males in the tribe had increased to over 500. This could be considered a mid-sized tribe among the tribes around here. With so many people gathered in one spot, it became rather cramped inside and outside the valley, so Wang Lin placed down a new formation. This formation had restrictions as its base and included the power of the valley and the 5-kilometer formation. This new formation's protection area was about 10 kilometers wide and thus solved the problem of space. Every new tribe needed a name. After Ouyang Hua asked many times, Wang Lin named it the Soul Refining Tribe. The center of this new 10-kilometer wide area was the valley. Everyone had moved out of the valley, and the valley was made into a restricted area that only Wang Lin could center. Unless they were called by Wang Lin, no one was allowed to enter. In addition to this, there were members of the Soul Refining Tribe standing at the entrance like guards. This valley became the symbol of the highest power in the tribe. Wang Lin, the one who lived there, was revered by everyone in the Soul Refining Tribe. Wang Lin's rules still hadn't changed. There were still only 3 methods to obtaining the chance after stage 3. Everyone in the Soul Refining Tribe was spending all their time cultivating. Aside from the people on patrol, there was almost no one outside because everyone was cultivating inside their houses. The Soul Refining Tribe was completely different from all the other tribes in Demon Spirit Land. It looked more like a newly born cultivation sect. Wang Lin's life became very peaceful, as he was the only person living inside the valley. All of the houses that were here before were removed by Wang Lin, and now this place was almost like the celestial realm. In this celestial realm-like place, Wang Lin personally built a wooden house. This wooden house was very simple, but there was great Tao within this simplicity. If a cultivator were to pass by, they would notice that although the size of each piece of wood was different, there was no difference in their weight. This wooden house was where Wang Lin lived. He sat in the lotus position inside the wooden house and silently cultivated. What he absorbed wasn't celestial spiritual energy but demonic spiritual energy. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, winter came. The winter here wasn't any different from outside. White snowflakes fell from the sky and the entire world became white. Wang Lin opened his eyes from his cultivation. When he walked out from the wooden house, he saw snow falling from the sky. He silently watched the snow fall and was completely immersed in it. Shortly after, Wang Lin raised his head and muttered to himself, 2 years now. He had been in the demon spirit land for almost 2 years. Once winter passes, it will be exactly 2 years. He raised his right hand and caught a snowflake. As the snowflake landed on his hand, A hint of coldness came from the snow before it melted in his hand, and a sliver of demonic spiritual energy entered his palm. Everything in the demon spirit land contains demonic spiritual energy. Wang Lin took a deep breath before sitting down and closing his eyes. Snowflakes slowly fell and landed on his body. The amount of snow falling gradually increased, and several hours later, Wang Lin turned into a snowman. He didn't move at all as he absorbed the demonic spiritual energy inside the snowflakes. The demon crystal in his body had risen from rank 5 to rank 34. The higher the rank, the harder it is level it up. Rank 3 is the same as foundation establishment, and 10 times that is core formation, and the next step is 10 times more. The reason Wang Lin decided to absorb demonic spiritual energy was because it could be fused with celestial spiritual energy, meaning it could increase celestial spiritual energy. Although he had the 100 years worth of celestial jades, those were barely enough to get him to the late stage of soul transformation, and the amount needed to reach the ascendant stage was beyond imagination. Therefore, if he wanted to raise his cultivation level, he would have to find other shortcuts. Changing demonic spiritual energy into celestial spiritual energy was one of the methods Wang Lin thought of. If Wang Lin could think of this, then others could think of it as well. Right now it all depended on who could absorb more demonic spiritual energy. In Wang Lin's eyes, demonic spiritual energy was an alternative to celestial jades because it could help increase his cultivation level. In these 2 years of time, the soul refining tribe continued to rise. As the need for the next chant increased more and more, people left the valley to train themselves. In addition to this, every month there would be teams that returned from attacking a smaller tribe. They would come back with captives and varying amounts of demon crystals. It is worth mentioning that the formations used to defend against the foreigners had almost no effect on the natives. The formation seemed to be built for defending against the night of demon spirits and keeping foreigners outside. As time passed, the soul refining tribe's population continued to increase, and even the 10-kilometer wide area seemed to not be enough. As a result, there was a need to expand the formation once more. Wang Lin used 3 days of time to study it and then increased the formation by another 10 kilometers. Now that the tribe had 20 kilometers of territory, it could be considered one of the most powerful tribes within several tens of thousands of kilometers. The increase in tribe members caused an increase in the amount of people that cultivated the soul refining spell. Wang Lin knew that the soul fragments in the soul flags needed to be nurtured many times for them to reach their full power. Instead of teaching these people how to nurture them, he opted to use the 1 billion soul flag to nurture the soul fragments. The soul flag expanded and then surrounded the sky of the 20-kilometer wide area in black clouds. The moment the black clouds appeared, they immediately shocked everyone in the soul refining tribe. Many tribe members rushed outside, and some of the more powerful people surrounded themselves in their soul flags in an attempt to fly up to see what was going on. Release your soul fragments into the black clouds for a fixed amount of time every day. Doing so will make the soul fragments even stronger. Wang Lin's voice echoed in the 20-kilometer wide area. The moment his voice was heard, every single tribe member knelt down on the ground. Their faces were filled with respect, and they were kneeling toward the valley Wang Lin was in. After the black cloud appeared, the soul fragments from the tribesmen were howling and moving within the black cloud all day long. The people of the soul refining tribe got used to releasing their soul fragments to be nurtured inside the black cloud, and the black cloud became the unique symbol of the soul refining tribe. Inside the soul refining tribe, not everyone was cultivating the soul refining spell. Some of them couldn't cultivate at all, so they could only be hunters to provide food for everyone. 13 was one of the hunters. After his cultivation was wasted, he never said another word. It was like he was mute. There was no longer any spirit in his body. It was as if he was just a moving corpse. Only late at night, during his countless attempts to cultivate, was there an emotion on his face. However, that emotion was endless pain and unwillingness. He refused to accept this. There were many people in the tribe that were at the 4th stage now, and there were many people with more than 10 soul flags. Many new geniuses had popped up and replaced 13 as the most powerful people under Ouyang Hua. All of this was constantly stabbing at his heart. It was because of this that whenever he went out to hunt, he would fight without a care for his life. As a result, He almost died many times. If it wasn't for having his tribe members there to help, he would have already died. Some of the people that looked out for him knew of 13's original position in the tribe. When they saw him like this, they could only sigh in their hearts. On this day, Wang Lin was looking at a piece of wood in his hand. The piece of wood was completely black and gave off waves of demonic light. When one of the tribe members attacked a small tribe, they didn't find any demon crystals. However, one tribe member found this piece of wood at the worship location of the enemy tribe, so he brought it back and gave it to Wang Lin. As he looked at it, he suddenly raised his head to look outside the valley, where he saw Ouyang Hua's old figure. Junior has a matter to discuss and wishes to speak with Ancestor. The title of Ancestor came from everyone in the tribe. Since Wang Lin didn't refuse, it could be said that he silently agreed. Come in. Wang Lin lowered his head to look at the piece of wood. Ouyang Hua entered the valley. He was holding someone in his arms. This person was covered in blood and his face was extremely pale. After quickly arriving next to Wang Lin, Ouyang Hua put the body to the side, knelt on the ground, and said, Ancestor, when 13 was hunting, he met a rare demonic beast. By the time this old man noticed and rushed over, it was too late. For all living things inside the demon spirit land, once they gather enough demonic spiritual energy, they undergo a demonic change and their strength increases greatly. Wang Lin put down the piece of wood in his hand and raised his head to look at 13. 13 looked a lot older than he did 1 year ago. Looking at him now, he didn't look like a young man but an old man in his dying years. Wang Lin said, in a serious tone, you can leave. Ouyang Hua got up and respectfully left. After leaving the valley, he let out a sigh as he looked back at the valley and muttered, 13, it will all depend on your luck. Wang Lin looked at 13 and began to ponder. Wang Lin's right hand reached out, causing 13's body to float up before him. He pointed at 13's forehead and then a strand of demonic spiritual energy entered 13's body. Wang Lin's expression became serious. 1 year ago, he made the assessment that all of 13's meridians had been shattered and that he could no longer cultivate. However, right now he found something very mysterious. Although 13's meridians were still shattered like they were 1 year ago and some of them had even shrunk, for some reason there was a large amount of demonic spiritual energy stored up in his body. This demonic spiritual energy wasn't inside his meridians but inside his flesh and bones. If this continued, 13's body would naturally enter a body refining stage. However, this person didn't understand the body refining technique, so a lot of demonic spiritual energy was wasted. 13 also didn't know how to cycle the demonic spiritual energy, so even if he walked the path of body refining, he wouldn't be able to get far before his body becomes rigid and he dies. Strange. 1 year ago, 13's body had no demonic spiritual energy, but now he has already reached 2 stars. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He knew from Lu Yun's memories that 3 stars was 1 rank, and 3 ranks was the same as a foundation establishment cultivator. He raised his right hand and sat down. After a while, his eyes lit up and his origin soul flew out and entered 13's forehead. Comparing 13 and Wang Lin's souls was like comparing a firefly to the sun. Wang Lin easily saw 13's memories of the last year. Wang Lin saw 13 withstand pain that normal people could not withstand, and he was experiencing this pain every night. He was withstanding the pain of trying to absorb demonic spiritual energy when all his meridians were shattered, then the pain of the demonic spiritual energy would enter his flesh. The pain was like millions of small insects eating away at his body. He withstood this kind of pain for over a year and never stopped once. All of this was because he wasn't willing to give up. He wanted to become strong, and he wanted Wang Lin to gaze at him once more. Wang Lin withdrew his origin soul. He was moved by this. His eyes became very serious as he stared at the floating 13. 13's determination earned Wang Lin's goodwill, but the only way for 13 to recover was the ancient god tactic, and that wasn't something Wang Lin would give to someone else so easily. After pondering for a while, Wang Lin pointed at 13's chest and inserted some demonic spiritual energy. This caused 13 to open his mouth, and Wang Lin threw a pill inside it. After helping 13 absorb the pill, Wang Lin sat back down. 13's body slowly landed on the ground. After one incense stick of time, 13 began to cough violently, and when he finally got up, he coughed out a large mouthful of black blood. After coughing out the blood, his entire body felt lighter. It wasn't until now that he noticed that he was inside the valley. He was very smart, so he immediately noticed Wang Lin before him. This made him feel very excited. As soon as he noticed, he got up, knelt down, and was very respectful the entire time. 13 greets ancestor. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he looked at 13 and shouted, "How did you obtain the demonic spiritual energy in your body?" 13's body trembled. He respected Wang Lin a lot, so he quickly told Wang Lin what he had done in this past year. What he said was exactly the same as the memories Wang Lin saw, and he didn't hide anything. Wang Lin secretly nodded, but his expression was still normal as he slowly said, 13, all of that demonic spiritual energy in your body is useless without your meridians to cycle it. Once you collect too much demonic spiritual energy inside your body, you will die for sure. 13's face was pale and he let out a pitiful smile. He took a deep breath and said, "Ancestor, 13 doesn't want to become a useless person. 13 knew that collecting demonic spiritual energy in my body was probably not a good idea. However, it was the only way for me to feel like I wasn't worthless. I have demonic spiritual energy like everyone else." In the end, 13's voice lowered and he clenched his fist. Wang Lin looked at 13, and after a long time he said, "I have a cultivation method that can allow you to transfer the demonic spiritual energy inside your body into your flesh. It will then increase your body's strength to an unimaginable degree. Although you won't be able to use any spells, your body will become stronger and stronger. This is the body refining method. Are you willing to learn?" 13's body trembled violently. His face was filled with joy. He didn't hesitate and quickly nodded. Don't agree too quickly. Cultivating this body refining method is very difficult and very dangerous. If you mess up, even I might not be able to save you. Cultivating the body refining method is also very painful. Can you withstand it? Ancestor, 13 will definitely not let you down. 13 looked at Wang Lin with never-before-seen determination. Wang Lin pondered a bit and then touched his bag of holding. He took out a piece of jade, pressed it against his forehead, imprinted information on it, and threw it at 13. You have demonic spiritual energy inside your body, so you should be able to see inside it. When 13 accepted the jade, the excitement in his heart was indescribable. He kowtowed several times before leaving. It wasn't until 13 left that Wang Lin let out a sigh. In the end, he still didn't give 13 the ancient god tactic. Instead, he organized what he knew of the giant demon clan and gave it to him. If he can complete the giant demon clan's body refining method, I'll teach him the first stage of the ancient god tactic. If he can't, then it just means he is not destined to learn the ancient god tactic. In the blink of an eye, 2 more years passed. In these 2 years, the soul refining tribe grew like crazy. The size of the tribe continued to increase from 20 kilometers. Now it was about 150 kilometers wide, and the tribe had more than 5,000 males. Within a 50,000-kilometer area, aside from the 2 tribes with 10,000 members, all the other ones were devoured by the soul refining tribe. In these 2 years, Wang Lin acted 3 times because some of the enemy tribes had someone powerful. However, in the wasteland, no matter how strong they were no match for Wang Lin. It has to be said that Wang Lin's plan of starting his own force in this wilderness was paying off. Right now he commanded a force of 5,000 people who knew the soul refining spell. Although they weren't that powerful individually, they packed a huge punch when they all released their soul fragments together. If enough time passes by for them to grow, Wang Lin will control a very powerful force. A stalemate between the 3 tribes within this 50,000-kilometer area occurred. Originally, Ouyang Hua wanted to attack one of the big tribes, but he was stopped by Wang Lin. He wanted the tribe members to give up attacking others and focus on cultivating. Wang Lin's words were divine to the people of the tribe. A thing worth mentioning was 13. This child's perseverance was amazing, and he was able to learn a bit of the giant demon clan's body refining method. His body was as tough as iron, and during battle he would always charge in the front. No one could stop him. In 4 years of time, Wang Lin turned a small tribe in a valley into a large tribe with over 5,000 people. Wang Lin ordered all of them to focus on cultivation because he had other plans. He decided to leave the tribe for a bit. His target was ancient Demon City. For years ago, Wang Lin had the chance to go, but he didn't go because him back then didn't have a force of his own. Even if he had gone, it would have been pointless. After 4 years, Wang Lin could finally go to ancient Demon City without any worries. Even if he couldn't get a foothold in ancient Demon City, he would still have the ability to turn the situation for the better. To make it easier to communicate, he spent half a month making 2 voice transmission jades. He kept one with him and left the other one inside the soul refining tribe. If it wasn't for the fact that he lacked materials, he would have placed a transfer array inside the soul refining tribe. That way, he would be able to return in an instant. Wang Lin wasn't going to leave by himself this time. There would be 2 youths following him, and one of them was 13. The other person was called Huapao. He was from a small tribe and had already awakened his demonic spiritual energy. He had 2 stars of demonic spiritual energy when he joined and was the #1 expert from that small tribe. Ouyang Hua personally captured this person and forced him to drink the memory-wiping soup, then this person became a member of the soul refining tribe. This person was very talented in cultivation. With his starting point of 2 stars of demonic spiritual energy, he soon surpassed everyone and was closing in on Ouyang Hua. Right now he had already reached the 5th stage, and he had 97 soul flags along with 31 primary souls. His current strength was not that different from a core formation cultivator. Wang Lin saw a genius in this person. Although the soul refining spell was easy to learn, to reach the core formation stage in just a mere 4 years was something Wang Lin never expected. One of the big reasons for this was because this person already had 2 stars of demonic spiritual energy. It also had a lot to do with the demonic spiritual energy in this land, but it was the first time Wang Lin had seen someone with talent like Huapao. If he could reach the soul formation stage in 100 years, he would catch up to Red Butterfly in terms of talent. In fact, he would be ahead above Red Butterfly. Wang Lin cared a lot about talent like this, so he decided to keep him around to make him easier to control rather than leaving him in the tribe. The youth named Huapao's respect for Wang Lin wasn't any weaker than 13. When he heard that the ancestor would take him outside, he was very excited. As for 13, the strength of his body had reached a shocking degree. Even if he were to fight Huapao, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage. This had a lot to do with his determination and effort. After obtaining the body refining method, he spent many days and nights cultivating. In terms of seriousness toward cultivation, he was #1 in the tribe. On this morning at the moment the sun rose into the sky, Wang Lin walked out of the soul refining tribe. Huapao and 13 followed him like guards. This video will end here.